Hey free-to-play gang, welcome back to another video. So I finally managed to get Numa 7 done. I mean, completely free-to-play. So if you guys are also wondering why am I doing this completely free-to-play, it's not because I'm trying to do a challenge, it's because I'm actually saving a lot of my resources, a lot of my summons, for when I finally find a banner that is worth my summons. Because in this game, at least for now, it doesn't seem like your currency comes by very frequently, so I am being very selective with my summons over here. Okay, but with that said, let's take a look at Numa 7, starting with the enemies that we are facing, and of course the strategy involved over here. Now, in the first wave, we have a couple of jellyfy. So the first scale of Devilish will deal mental damage. As you can see, all of his attacks is mental, and as for scale of Demonic, all of the attacks will be reality DPS. So it depends on what your characters are strong against, then you might want to prefer taking out one of them instead. Now the thing is, for the first wave, nothing much to talk about. They're just gonna deal some damage and they're mostly there just to waste your time. Now as for the second wave, this is where things get a little bit more complicated because now there is a boss who has some extra special effects, and at the same time there are two of the same jellyfish over here as well. So it really depends on how you want to deal with this, but it is also entirely possible for you to go straight for the boss because, as you can see here, under the boss's passive skills, Perfect Stance, AP +1. And at the start of every 2 rounds, purifies all stat downs, negative status, and control status from the cast. Okay, blah blah blah. But the thing is, because the boss has AP +1, that means if the boss is still alive at the end, he's always going to attack twice. So what I mean to say is, it is also a strategy to keep everyone alive because each of the jellyfish, they will not have increased AP, which means that there are 4 actions taken by all the enemies during their turn. But if you take out both the jellyfish, the boss will actually hit twice. So that means that the more enemies you keep alive, the more diluted the attack pool will be, and the higher the probability of the attacks going into the jellyfish instead of the boss. Alright, anyway, let's take a look at what Devilish Mothman can do. So when a round starts, gain 1 stack of Sentience, and this is what Sentience is. Damage bonus and damage taken reduction plus 5% can stack. It probably stacks indefinitely as well, so it gets a lot harder as the fight progresses. And then we have Perfect Stance, we just talked about this, AP +1, and he basically just cleansed a lot of stuff from himself. So this is where things get a little bit more complicated because you cannot use disarms on him very effectively. It's not always going to work. And his third passive, Spirit Blessing, when the caster enters battle, gains 1 stack of Sentience. So essentially it is just the stacking of his damage bonus and damage taken reduction, that's it. And finally, Morph Intelligence. When a round ends, if the caster has 5 stacks of Sentience, spends all the stacks to dispel control from the caster and casts his ultimate 1 time and then transforms into the Demonic Mothman. So I'm not super sure what Demonic Mothman is, but I do think that all his damage just goes from mental DPS to reality DPS. That's my guess. I'm not super sure. Now, another thing for this fight is that there is a lot of RNG required for this to succeed. So you can see that in my run right now, at the end of my first wave, what I'm trying to do is to make sure that Alien T gets his ultimate ready so that in the first round of the second wave, I'm able to use Alien T's ultimate to actually AoE disarm everyone and to make sure that they don't take any actions at all. So that's me protecting myself for 1 entire turn. And then moving on into the second round, we may or may not need to use Soneto to disarm depending on how many attacks goes onto any one of the side mobs. Because you cannot disarm the boss during the second round of the second wave because he already has Perfect Stance on himself. So he's actually going to cleanse everything, including disarms on himself. So during every alternate round when the boss has Perfect Stance, there is a little bit of RNG involved over here where depending if the boss has many attacks in, that is possibly very dangerous and that could ruin your run. So if the boss isn't taking any turns at all, it's very easy for you to just disarm any one of the jellyfish in front of him. So I did get very lucky in this round because the jellyfish did actually take many actions, and that's why I'm able to disarm them, and yet at the same time, I was also able to nullify their attacks by simply just killing them off from the third round onwards. So eventually, we were just up against the boss 1v3, and the boss did deal quite a lot of damage to my team, but because we had a really lucky run, we were able to outlive and eventually DPS down the boss, and that's it. The boss went GG. Also, every once in a while, I am using Alien T to lure in the attacks from the boss, because Alien T would effectively nullify more than half of the damage that my team is receiving, because number 1, if Alien T absorbs a single target attack, he's gonna take in the whole thing, right? But if Alien T absorbs a multi-attack like that, my team is only going to receive 50% of that damage because 50% of it is going to go into Alien T. And yet at the same time, Alien T is also reducing the damage that he's receiving by up to 60% because of his damage mitigation from his taunts. So that's about it for this fight. And let me show you my stats. You can see that all of my characters, they are not super high level. They are just inside 2. And generally, I am very under leveled. But there is one specific way that I have built my characters that allows me to beat this content rather easily. So let me show you. Now, I talked about this in one very recent video. and that is to build your characters with a lot of defense. So if you take a look at my resonance stats here, you notice that I have 17% damage reduction on Eternity, and at the same time I am focusing a lot on reality defense and mental defense as well. You can see that I have 81 extra reality defense here and 67 mental defense. Now let's take a look at Soneto. So in terms of her resonance as well, these are what Soneto has. So she has 8% damage reduction, she has good mental defense, and she also has some reality defense to top it off. So this is the trend amongst all of my characters, right? I'm focusing a lot on damage taken reduction and mental defense and reality defense. Now a lot of you guys have also asked me, how does damage taken reduction actually affect your mental defense or your reality defense? So the thing is, the way it's calculated is after considering your mental or reality defense, the remaining damage gets further reduced by the percentage of your damage taken reduction. So this can potentially lower the damage floor that the enemies have. So this is the one way that I am building most of my characters for almost all content, which is essentially just to go very defensive, because I do feel like it's not super important for you to squeeze out so much DPS or like so much attack power. It's not going to matter all that much, especially if your crit rate is not going to go from like 20% all the way to 80%, for example. Then that don't really matter all that much. So I think prioritizing your defensive stats over your offensive stats is what allows you to beat content a little bit easier. I'm not saying that it is the best way, but it is definitely one way that has worked out very well for me. Oh, and we also have one more character here, my Apple, but frankly speaking, I didn't really need to use him all that much. He's only here for just in case measures, but same stats as well. So anyway, that's it for this video. Hopefully this helped you in any way. If you did, don't forget to thumbs up. It really helps the channel, and subscribe for more Reverse 999 content. Now that this has been very free to play, and as always, I will see you in the next video.
This gives power to thee. A little bit hot here. Flying handbag for only 3,000 sacred aunties. Try for free. Try for free.
Dumb, fool, stinky socks.
So long lives this, and this gives power to thee. Hey! Flying handbag for only 3,000 sacred
Data
aunties.
collecting complete. Self-defense, you dumb, fool,
My
stinky
child,
socks.
here's something fun for you. I know the moon, and this is an alien city. The ocean dried, and I'm alone again. My child, here's something fun for you. I know the moon, and this is an alien city. Each moment, now night. Try for free. Try for free.
Poor earth creatures.
Hey. It's all right.
You can't see me. You can't see me.
So long lives this, and this gives power to thee. Try for free. Try for free. How dare you? The ocean dried, and I'm alone again. Flying handbag for only 3,000 sacred aunties. A little bit hot here. Try for free. Try for free. Flying handbag for only 3,000 sacred aunties. will pray for you. Sorry.